Mitch Evans, the self-proclaimed gladiator of Rome's electric streets, claimed his fourth win in the Italian capital on the 13th lap, but his race victory...
That's why we do it, that's why we race. We come here, we want to win. It's happening every time, but yeah.
Victory was overshadowed by a tense atmosphere around the paddock. The first Formula E race of the Rome E-Prix weekend was red-flagged after 9 laps following a major multi-car shunt that eliminated 6 drivers from the race. One of the most violent crashes in Formula E, with several drivers close to injury but managed to escape untouched. However, the affected garages were only given 15 hours, including the post-race curfew, to repair the damaged cars. How did the events unfold, and can anything be done to make the track safer next time? Let's take a look at the events leading up to the incident. Sam Bird started well and was slightly faster than pole sitter Mitch Evans to take the lead and keep a small gap to his teammate. Andre Lauderer brought out the safety car on lap 3 and crashed down the outside of turn 6, an incident that was just an unfortunate taste of what was to come. Later, Sebastian Buemi and Eduardo Mortara had brake problems at turn 7, allowing several cars to pass, including their teammates Nick Cassidy and Max Günther. This would be crucial for the latter because they would avoid damage later. Evans passed Bird on the restart of the 5th lap as Bird began to manage his energy. Evans was the first driver in the top 10 to go into attack mode on the 7th lap, passing the lead to Sasha Fenestraz. Fenestraz then held the lead as he, Rene Rast, and Bird went into attack mode on the next lap. Championship leaders Jake Dennis and Nick Cassidy have closed in on Bird, having chosen not to chase the leaders in attack mode for now. Bird had a little less energy in the 9th round compared to the other two, which means he had to attack and create a gap. The steep ascent of curbs 5 and 6, almost flat and without visibility, up to Viale Romolo Murray is a difficult stretch to negotiate, especially bumpy. The Bird spun late entering turn 6, hitting the center of the largest drainage hood, the same one that had trapped Lauderer earlier in the race, and Jake Hughes earlier in the day during qualifying. Bird's Jaguar was destabilized by the heavy crash and lost its rear handle, sending the car crashing into the outside wall. Dennis and Cassidy popped up on the inside in time before Bird hit the inside wall on the exit of turn 6. At this point, race management issued a double yellow flag in the required mini-sectors. Günther followed, slowing to wonder on the right, with Zog's car completely perpendicular to oncoming traffic. Buemi briefly saw Günther slow down on the outside, meaning he had to keep his inside line before he had nowhere to go when Bird blocked the rest of the track. Buemi braked and swerved to the right before hitting the rear of Jaguar number 10 with almost 180 kilometers per hour. The speed and angle of the crash caused the number 16 Envision to almost spin out before colliding with the Halo Porsche of Antonio Felix da Costa, with the Portuguese driver right behind the Envision at the time of the impact. After the race, Buemi and da Costa said they saw no yellow flags at the time. Due to the nature of the first major crash, the Jaguar was hit hard enough to end up in the middle of the track, making it more difficult for drivers to escape contact. Stoffel Van Dorn saw the Jaguar crash and swerve to the right, hitting the outside wall hard but managing to get back onto the lane. The other, DS Penske of Jean-Eric Vergne, along with the Nissan of Norman Nato, came away with minor damage but managed to repair it as well. Mortara, however, did not get through unscathed, braking sharply at the last moment before his Maserati MSG crashed into Bird's wing, narrowly missing the monocoque crash structure a few meters to the right. Both cars moved onto the outside of the corners after the crash, but that didn't stop the other cars from exiting. Behind Mortara, a 7-car train, led by Pascal Wehrlein and Lucas Di Grassi, was unable to react to Wehrlein's braking, damaging the Mahindra's front wing and suspension and pushing the number 94 Porsche into the wall, causing the steering column to break. Di Grassi's car stopped in turn 7, while Wehrlein managed to repair his car. Dan Ticktum, Nico Muller, Sergio Sette Camara, and Roberto Meri all came through the debris field unscathed. Robin Franz, the driver between Camara and Meri, slipped under the brake, driving the rear right wheel into the nose of the damaged Jaguar, then broke the suspension and sent the ABT Cupra into the wall. Franz was the 6th and last to retire from the multi-car maneuver. During the 45 minutes of the red flag, people like the brilliant race marshals, medical teams, and many others got the circuit back and the cars in shape to allow the race to resume. Meanwhile, the 13 riders who managed to keep their cool in the sweltering Italian heat before resuming the race and finishing the race the entire distance. "I'm very happy that all the drivers are safe," said Season 3 champion Lucas Di Grassi of the crash that ended his race. "I had no physical problems and the car suffered minor damage compared to what it could have been. So in a way we were lucky today that nothing more serious happened. Thanks to the safety requirements of the FIA and Formula E, not only for the car but also for the track, although it is probably the most dangerous on this track. It's a very fast corner, no visibility, we're racing and there's no room to get out. In a straight line, you see more. In a turn like this, it's very difficult to judge if the track is completely blocked or not. In the end, the safety of the drivers was due to the very strong car and the good construction of the track. Several drivers spoke to the race about their willingness to modify the bumpy turns. Bird said the FIA needs to address this problem and get rid of some of the exhausts in the middle of the track. This is not normal. And this problem was already raised last year, as Buemi commented. It was only a matter of time, in my opinion, before it happened, and I raised this point already last year. In any case, race director Scott Elkin suggested that there was no need to modify the track, saying, "In many cases we can adjust the environment, but in this case I don't know if that's something we need to do." Of the 6 abandoned cars, only Bird's crash produced a G-force large enough to alert the medical team. Fortunately, the Jaguar driver escaped without serious injury, as did the other 5 drivers. Many cars had to have their monocoques replaced due to heavy damage. But luckily, there were enough spares in the paddock to have every car replaced and ready for Free Insurance 3 the next morning. Although this was the worst accident Formula E has ever seen, the incredible technology of motorsport means that not only were all drivers as safe as possible, but the race can also return to normal with all the machines involved at the sessions. Evans did not have an easy ride to his 3rd win of the season, starting to lose the race lead to teammate Bird, although he quickly turned things around in the 5th lap. Sacha Fenestras passed him for the lead a few laps later, but the race was stopped by a red flag after a violent crash between several cars caused by Bird losing control of his Jaguar, which took out 6 cars and left a straight line full of debris and broken Gen 3 body. Bird spun his Jaguar into the left-hand turn 6 at high speed and was collected by Envisian's Sebastian Buemi before Eduardo Mortara's Maserati crashed into the back of the Bird's Jaguar. Antonio Felix da Costa was right behind Buemi and was unable to avoid hitting the wall, narrowly passing Buemi's Envision car. Abt Cupra's Robin Friens and Mahindra's Lucas Di Grassi were almost eliminated in the chaos, meaning only 14 cars started the race. When the race resumed, Jake Dennis got off to a good start, going from 4th to 1st in the first 5 laps. He proved to be Evans' main competitor and initially seemed to be pulling away from him when the Jaguar driver missed the activation zone of his 2nd attack mode. But instead, Andretti apparently mistook Dennis's energy and quickly slipped behind Evans and Envision's Nick Cassidy, who followed his lead late in the race. Cassidy was unable to mount a serious challenge to the title rival Evans, who managed to power through the final laps of the race to his 4th victory on the streets of Rome. Cassidy's 2nd place finish allowed him to overtake Dennis at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Maximilian Günther survived several crashes to claim the final podium spot of the Maserati's home race. Dennis finished in 4th place, barely holding off the DS Penske of Jean-Eric Vergne and the Abt Cupra of Nico Müller, who recorded his and his team's best result for 2023. The former boss of championship Pascal Wehrlein, who entered the race 16 points behind the leader, he took the advantage of the red flag to come back after breaking his front wing behind Günther on the first lap, eventually dropping to 7th, although he became 9th when he received the post-race penalty for speeding under the red flag. As a result, Nissan's Norman Nato finished 7th ahead of NIO 333's Sergio Sette Camara. Wehrlein and his teammate Fenestras, who suffered a miserable late-race crash from 1st to 10th. René Rast, who started 3rd, had to bring his McLaren to the pits shortly after the restart, capping a miserable day for the team after a qualifying crash prevented Jake Hughes from starting the race. It also went badly for NIO 333's Dan Ticktum, who also crashed into the back of Günther's only remaining Maserati while running in 8th position, breaking his front wing, requiring a pit stop that ruined his points chances.